Right. We say good afternoon to Reinhard and to Damian. And just a reminder that Damian is embargoed for Wednesdays, 6 a.m. And Reinhard then for Thursday. So we'll start with questions then to Damian. And we say good afternoon to Gareth Jenkinson.
Thanks, Rayan. How's it, Damian? Just want to start off asking you about your experience in Europe over the last couple of years playing for Munster and how much you think that helps the team, analysing and approaching playing, obviously, a team that's comprised of different unions from up north.
Yeah, it's been good. I think personally wise, for me, it's been a good experience. Obviously, there's a lot of different competitions in Europe itself, and and I know a lot of the guys now playing in the British Irish line, so it's been good for me to get a taste against them and see what the rugby is like in Europe. But yeah, I've really loved it. I've enjoyed it. Obviously, the weather is very tough, and that was one thing to get used to for me. But other than that, yeah, I love Munster. I love Limerick. Great people. And it's a great club as well. And like I said, I've learned a lot, and I've tried to explain to the guys what they try and do a bit different compared to what we try and do here in South Africa. So it doesn't mean that we will change the way we want to play rugby. We will still try and stick to our structures and stick to our strengths. And but other than that, it's been a great experience, and I've really enjoyed it over the past year.
Thank you, Dukes. And we welcome again Matthew Pearce from SuperSport.
Thanks, Rowan. Afternoon, Damian. I just want to ask you about, how much of a shock it was to your system, the freakish nature of your accident, and how relieved you feel now to have put in two performances in the last week where you've been able to test yourself physically and come through unscathed.
Yeah, I don't think I want to chat too much about what happened. Obviously, it did happen, and I'm just grateful that it didn't end up being any worse than what it is. Obviously, thinking of a guy like RG, I think he got the worst of it at the end of the day, and I still feel very sorry for him. He's gone through a lot at the moment, so I think I got lucky. I'm just glad it wasn't worse, but in also saying that, I'm just glad I got to play rugby again. I think after it happened, I did go into a bit of shock, and obviously I was in hospital on morphine and stuff, and I thought it was a joke at the time. But obviously, once it wore off and the pain started to kick in, I think then it really struck me how bad it was, and how much worse it could have been, and how lucky I was. So yeah, I'm very grateful that I got through some good game minutes over the past week. Obviously, it was tough to play 2 games in a week. I haven't done that in quite a long time, but it was good. I think everyone that played, obviously Saturday's game was quite tough emotionally afterwards, but I think it was a good lesson for us, not just losing that game, but also putting our body and our minds through 2 physical battles in 1 week. And I'm just glad that there were no bad injuries, and we all got through it nicely, and the bodies are feeling a lot better now this week. And I'm grateful that we actually have a week off before the next game. So, but yeah, it was good, and I'm happy with where I am at the moment again, and I'm just grateful to be playing rugby again.
And in the context of the lack of preparation time that you've had, Damian, how important to have this backline division exactly the same 7 that started the Rugby World Cup final 21 months ago?
Yeah, it makes a massive difference. I think after what happened to myself and RG, I think if there were a lot of changes in the squad, I think it would be quite tough. But thankfully it's not. And yeah, like it was just nice playing again. But obviously, we haven't played together since the World Cup. But we know our relationships on the field and off the field are still very good with not just the guys that are playing this weekend or the guys that are starting on the bench, but the guys that are missing out as well. So yeah, it has been great that there is still a lot of consistency in the squad, and I think it makes a massive difference, and it almost allows us to be ourselves and almost try and just fit in naturally again.
Thanks, Damian. Thanks, Rowan.
Thank you, Matthew Pierce from SuperSport. And we say good afternoon to Jerry Thornley.
Thanks, Ryan, for letting me ask a question. Hi, Damian. Apologies for Renard. It's another question for Damian. You were part of the South Africa A team's defence just coming up to half time and reduced to 14 players and then reduced to 13 players. And it's very much a kind of a Springbok trait that you defend your line with almost manic intensity, a source of great pride to you. Is that just in your DNA, do you think, as rugby players, or is it something you also work very strongly on the training, or what? How can you explain it?
I don't think it's just us. I think every rugby player is like that. I think if you want to play international level, obviously growing up as a rugby player, not just myself, but you obviously bring that one dimension of your game, that or skill set of the game, or work ethic, or physicality. Some guys have that all in one, but you try and bring that, and you try and be yourself, and you try and achieve that in the highest level of rugby. But I think, once the pressure's on, and you're on the back foot, I think that's when you need to stick up your hand. And I'm not saying try and be Superman, but you just got to put your body on the line and work as hard as you can. So I think we will always work that hard. I think there are a lot of other test teams that work as hard or just as hard as well, and I think they would have the same desire to try and defend a try. But it was exceptional defense with 30 men on the field. Obviously, starting the second half with 30 men again, we were under the pump again. But I thought we scrambled nicely, or not nicely, but we tried our best, and thankfully we only conceded, I think, 7 points in those 10, 11 minutes when we're down to 30 men. So, like we're all going to make mistakes, and we're all going to do things wrong on the field. I think it's not just natural. I think we want to work for each other and make sure that we want to leave everything out there on the field for each other and work as hard as we can.
Thank you, Damian.
Thank you.
And we're going to conclude the section with Damian. And the next question then will come from Nick Heath again.
I actually have one more question for Damian, if I'm allowed, Ryan.
Yes, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Damian, I just wanted to ask what you make of the Lions' options that they could have across that centre. Obviously, it's a week of trying to predict the unpredictable, but there are obviously different ways that the Lions can play. What do you make of the options they have available to them, and what would you prefer to face?
I can't really say what I prefer to face. Obviously, it's not my choice, but I think it's world class. I think obviously they all play at test match intensity and test level rugby, so it's quite hard to say. I know Bundy is quite physical. I would say he's probably the most physical of the centre pairings there. But Robbie Henshaw's also a great player, and so is Johnny. I mean, Owen Farrell and stuff. But I can't say who I'd rather want to play against. I think they all pose a different threat. I think on the day it's going to be just as tough whoever you play against anyway. So they're all world-class players, and I'm just looking forward to not just the challenge of playing against one of the centres or two of the centres. I'm looking forward to the challenge of playing against the Lions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Damian. If I can ask you just to be seated, please, and so we can proceed with our next section. And now our questions will be posed to Reinhard Elstad. And Tinus van Staden, you have the first question to Reinhard.